If you want to see how I made this resin cloud, then go ahead and watch this video. This will be part 1 of my cloud Suncatcher project. I began by tracing my cloud stencil onto a piece of transparency film paper, and then I cut that cloud out of the transparency paper to use as the base for my resin project. I cut slices of transparency paper so that I could use those slices to help build the walls, which you can see me doing here. And then I'm using my other little stencil that's white so that I can measure how big of a piece I need and then take it over to the actual stencil that I'm using and build the wall with tape and that transparency paper. Once my walls are built, I'm going to use more of the transparency paper and tape to put over the cloud and just like hold the walls together in a place to keep their shape. I really hope that makes sense. And then I go through and I use UV resin as a sealant for all of the edges just to make sure nothing leaks out once I actually pour in the epoxy resin. And I'm also adding some really cool ultraviolet powder, which just is like a color shifting powder around the edges with that UV resin. And my next step is mixing the A and B of the epoxy resin, and then I let that sit for about 5 minutes, and then I separate it into 3 different containers so that I can add different colors together and then use a marbling effect. And I have a clear layer in there with chunks of that cellophane wrapper that I showed at the beginning. I'd actually cut that into little pieces to use as glitter. On the side here, I'm pouring my excess resin onto a flat surface just so I can have a thin, bendy layer so I can cut shapes out of it to add to the dangly parts of my Suncatcher. And right now I am demolding my project, and I was really happy because all of the plastic came off from around my project. So there's actually no transparency paper stuck to it or anything. It all came off of the transparency paper just fine. So I'm like really actually kind of happy about that it's just resin and the paper is separate. So once I finally get this all peeled away, I'm going to take it outside and show it to you, and it's really pretty. So yeah, here it is outside. We have the sun shining on it, and here's the cloud. It's not quite as translucent as I was hoping it would be, but I think it's still going to be really pretty once it's all done. And obviously I'll have it hanging up in front of a window so that there will be sun hitting it. To catch part 2, go ahead and give me a subscribe or follow. Thanks so much for watching.